All right, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Beau. He is the great Z. How you living, pal?
Doing great, man. Here we are. It's a Victory Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, just enjoy.
Just enjoying it. We're
Another
good.
one this weekend?
Yeah, let's keep it moving on up. We've got great news, in the social world, I would call it. The Miz out there on Dancing with the Stars turned in a incredible performance. And in fact, he's going to join us today.
He's joining us.
At 2 o'clock to talk about his moves out there. He was smooth like butter, is what they say.
That's not surprising. Showman.
Total showman. He's going to go far.
Showman. He's going to thrive in this. And this is obviously something that comes from the Parma upbringing. This type of twinkle toes dancing that he does, that's the type of stuff that you learn growing up as the Prince of Parma. So that's exactly right.
I'm not sure George Mazanin would agree with that.
He's not gonna have
No, I don't think he did learn that.
Neither would my wife's family, who is from there as well. So, no, they would not agree with that. But nevertheless, so we have the Miz. That's at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, we got the Miz at 2 o'clock. Nice. Fun Monday night game again, enhanced purely by the greatness of the broadcast, although this one had some ups
and some
downs. Brett Favre, don't need you again. Thanks for coming. I mean, he brought it to a halt.
I thought Gronk did too.
Because technology was so bad.
Technology was bad. Okay, we get the joke. Like, let it go. We get it. Like, he just kept hitting the same thing, and we couldn't get anywhere.
Right.
He kept talking about Peyton's record. You couldn't get anywhere. Like, let it go, brother. Like, it went. And then that was, you didn't need any more.
Film.
Yeah, we know. Like, I think he's the guy, and we've all known this guy, who is so naturally gifted that he doesn't have to do the other stuff. And he admitted as much last night.
Is that real?
I don't know either. He's just playing.
You think you're going to be on the Patriots with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and you're not watching film ever?
No, I think he said he watched film with the team, but just not on his own. He just wouldn't do it on his own.
Basically made it sound like if a game's on TV, he watches that, and he calls that studying.
Yeah. No, I thought he brought it to a halt, too. I thought both of those guys were tough to watch. And, so I think Gronk is like somebody like you get a pass because he's so good, but it's like as soon as he's not great anymore, you're like, man, I've had enough of this dude.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't let that go. There was some incredible stuff. The McAfee stuff at the end was –
McAfee needs to be on every week. Like, let's just book McAfee. And he can be on there for a half with them. Like, that's fine.
Well, and it was the story time stuff was so great. The one thing
story.
The one thing that I'm curious your take on this. Do you think they need somebody to tee up Peyton? Because he tees himself up.
He does. Listen, they went through auditions with the host and decided
I don't think you need a host, but you do need kind of a redirector.
I think the person who needs that is Eli. I think
he needs that too.
Somebody needs to feed Eli the rock every now and then because Eli wouldn't you say of airtime, it's 75.
70, and I don't know that that's enough for Peyton. I feel like he could have 90 to 10.
When Favre was out there bombing, Peyton just started talking over him. He's like, all right, if you're not going to answer the question that I just teed you up on, I'm going to answer it because I want the answer to be out there for the people.
It was pretty on brand for what I expected of Favre, by the way. Oh, jeez.
Is it good news?
Oh,
boy.
Oh, Jarvis.
All right, well, Gibbs just in our ear said he's got news. He's emailed us. We asked if it was good news. And here it is.
Gibbs says, gets in the ear and says, I've got news, and I assume that it's on the air. It's not on the air. It was just us, so then we acted as if you could hear it. And so go ahead.
Some wires don't.
All right, so here it is. The Cleveland Browns have announced that they have signed defensive end Ifeadi Odenigbo from the team's practice squad and placed Jarvis Landry on injured reserve. Odenigbo spent the first 2 weeks of the season on the Browns practice squad, originally a 2017 seventh-round pick of the Vikings, 10.5 sacks in 32 regular season games in his career. Obviously, Jarvis on injured reserve. He finished the game last week with only one reception, snapping a streak of 111 games in a row with at least two, the fourth longest streak in NFL history. He will be out at least 3 weeks, which means he would be eligible to return. He'll miss this week. He'll miss at Minnesota. He will miss at the Chargers. He'd be eligible to return that following week, week 6, which I believe is the Cardinals.
I believe that's right. Here.
Yeah. And then that we'd follow that up with the Denver Broncos on Thursday night. So that's a blow. And now it's interesting. I thought the release of Davion Davis perhaps was a glimpse into that we would have we would have Jarvis not go on IR. I also find it interesting that it's a defensive end that has been added to the mix here. I don't know what to make of that. Maybe because it's not like they released Joe Jackson, so now you have 5 active defensive ends. I imagine one will be inactive on game days, but maybe they're going to give him a shot to go in. But Jackson's got a sack in 2 games.
Yeah.
Tack's been around the quarterback a lot. Obviously, Miles and Clowney aren't there, so maybe I don't know I don't know what to even read into that, if anything.
There might not be anything to read into it. But it's a tremendous blow. You were hopeful that Jarvis would be back sooner. Obviously, I think it's probably realistic. 3 games is 3 games. It's a long season, certainly, but we were hopeful that he would be back sooner. I think if we would have had a jersey yesterday, he'd play this weekend. Gibbs, frankly, Gibby. If we would have had a jersey on this stinking desk yesterday,
I don't
Jarvis
think he's on
would be
IR.
playing. He would not be on IR. He'd be playing on Sunday.
How do you sleep?
I slept awful. I was up at 4 a.m.
Well, serves you right.
That's why.
That's why. You knew this was coming. You knew this was coming. You did this.
I'm gonna bet that wasn't the reason.
That wasn't. It stinks for Jarvis, man. It stinks. And then you think about let's see where we are. Look at Jarvis goes down. This is why Hollywood Higgins is here.
Of course. That's what I said all along. People are who are you? We don't need a receiver per se.
No.
At all. Your receivers are now going to be Odell Beckham Jr., who I believe is going to be back this week, and it certainly would seem that way. You've got Donovan Peoples-Jones. You've got Hollywood Higgins. You've got Anthony Schwartz. Demetric Felton is really a wide receiver, as we saw last week, and can run a lot of the stuff that you were going to run for Jarvis. In fact, as we talked about yesterday, that screenplay he took to the house was the exact same screenplay we ran for Jarvis earlier when he unfortunately suffered the injury. We just flipped the formation and did it to the left as opposed to the right. That was the only difference. So you're fine at receiver. If you add Felton in there, what is that? 5 guys?
5. If Odell, if you want to read into things, there's your read into. Is Jarvis going on? You're bringing in a defensive end. You'd have to feel pretty good about Odell.
That Odell's playing
Sunday.
Yeah, you feel really good about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Odell's tweeting, we're going to hold it down for him. Grant Delpit is saying in his press conferences, don't worry.
Nothing official yet. Coach said Wednesday, but it does feel like 13 will be out there.
I wonder if 22 is going to get near
on
the
Sunday
mic anytime again soon. If Odell is, in fact,
we
back
have that
this week.
cut. I have it in the sound bites.
Yeah, we'll let him slide.
Maybe we'll just
Let's
let
that
slide.
slide.
We love him so
we love
much.
him
We
so
don't
much.
we don't want any part of any sort of ill will.
That's right.
22,
We'll talk about
so.
his sack, and we'll talk about his hamstring issues and all of those things. But no, we don't need to talk about.
We won't highlight.
No, we don't need to highlight that.
But that you'd have to draw that conclusion because if not, then you're talking about 3 guys who are primarily receivers, with Felton being the 4th, and that's it. That's the list.
Here's an interesting thing. We now have, by my calculations, 10 defensive linemen on our 53.
That's a lot.
Right? You've got Miles, Clowney, Tack, Odenigbo, Joe Jackson at defensive end. You've got Malik, Billings, Elliott, Togiai at tackle. That's 10 of your 53. And we've lost so far on IR. We've put Anthony Walker Jr., a linebacker, and we've put a wide receiver in Jarvis Landry, and we've replaced it with a defensive end.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who we replaced Walker with. Somebody.
I can't remember. Yeah.
I'll have to go back and look at that transaction. But nonetheless, the fact that there are 10 defensive linemen on the 53, that stands. That is valid.
That is valid, yeah. So there you go, and hopefully Jarvis recovers well, and we'll have him against the Cardinals here in about a month or so is where that goes. So big news there. On the Monday Nighter, aside from the broadcast, Detroit plays about as well as it can play in the first half. And it just makes you sick because some operations can't get out of their own way. And you're watching Manning in disgust by the false starts, by the fumbled snap with the wet ball, by the procedure.
By the way, I love that people are Goff small hands. Remember when we went back to his small hands?
Now we're back to small hands.
Small hands.
No, I don't think it's that.
Smells like cabbage.
No, but that sometimes you just can't get out of your own way as an organization, and it starts to snowball, and you feel like you can't do anything right. They already have a problem playing the Packers, so it's just exacerbated. You have a great half, and then as soon as one bad thing happens, it feels like everything bad happens, and that happened to them last night.
It did. When it rains, it pours, and for that team, that's what happened, and the Packers were clearly the better team, but they hung on as long as they could. It was interesting when Favre was on there and was just struggling to get really anything coherent or additive to the discussion out there.
What do you think he thought he was on?
I don't know. I thought it was a bizarre,
It's strange
performance.
Very.
And you could tell they were kind of like.
And they must know him well to bring him on. Like,
Okay.
They're bringing on people they like Patrick Willis, obviously one of the great linebackers, but he's an Ole Miss guy. Eli would have known him well. So that makes sense. And McAfee played with him in the Colts, and so there's connections.
The story was just
the
tremendous.
casino story was exactly how you thought it would be and should be, frankly.
Of course, he hits it on the red 18. How about that?
It's amazing, yeah.
But, they were talking about the cover two, and they kept playing two deep safeties, and they're testing his patience, and then they come to that one critical play, and then they don't play cover two, and he throws a dime to Devontae Adams. And Brett was here. He was good. So you're going to single one guy up?
Right.
And the only guy who's going to be singled up on the team is Devontae. Why are you – what?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
The ball to Tanyan, though, that's just an outrageous throw.
Yeah, in a sense, he's been doing this for a very, very long time in Green Bay. I mean, a lot of the Mahomes stuff Rodgers has been doing. He's just gifted, obviously, with his arm. It's just
incredibly gifted.
Yeah, so they're fine, and they're going to be able to. They flip it pretty quickly. This is the first couple of, and it's really the first 4 games of the NFL season, or it's really an extended training camp where you're feeling yourselves out. You've seen it around the league. And this is a Packers team that gets absolutely hammered by the Saints. The Saints that get hammered by Carolina. And it's, if you're Detroit, you have what happened last week to them, and then you play well for a half. I'll tell you this, though. One last thing on Detroit. Like, build around Goff. In my opinion, he's more than fine. Like, you look at these rookie quarterbacks, how hard it is to hit on them. He's fine, man. He's more than fine.
He can throw the ball.
He can throw the ball.
Well.
He's fine. Yet, the fumbled snap.
They need some receivers.
Hawkinson's
a stud.
He is a stud, but they definitely need some receivers in that operation, to say the
Yes.
least. All right, this from Mary Kay, the Plain Dealer. No structural damage to Baker Mayfield's shoulder.
Nice.
So that is very, very nice there. Kind of worried. You think when that happens, you think of collarbone, you think of separated shoulder, you think of pectoral muscle, you think of all of those things could happen when you throw that shoulder in. Thought Kareem gave a funny bite yesterday about that. Like, let me tackle him. I thought that was I'll handle the tackling process from this point forward. We don't need you blocking people. 6. We don't need you tackling on interceptions.
We need you going out there.
We know who you are. Just
leading the league in completion
that's
percentage.
it. Just be
averaging
6.
over 10 yards per attempt. Be surgical.
Yep.
Decisive.
That's right.
And that's one of the things that I really love about him right now. He's just so decisive with the football. The ball's coming out so quickly.
Yeah.
And you love to see that.
Yes, absolutely, you do. So that's very good news there. This was bizarre out of Chicago. If he's healthy enough to play, Andy Dalton will start against us.
He's not going to be healthy
Sunday?
enough to play.
How could he possibly be healthy enough to play?
I
What
don't believe
game?
that he will be.
There's no way. It's a bruise on his knee, right? Isn't that what we ended up with?
That's right.
He's going to be out a couple
Bone
weeks.
bruise.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, you're going to get Justin Fields.
Well, here's the thing. Like,
Homecoming
Matt
for
Nagy
him.
had his presser,
yeah.
got a little contentious. They then sent the PR people back in to talk to the media and said, if Andy Dalton is healthy, per coach, he will play Sunday.
Like, they
And
sent,
you're huh?
Who did they send to the
He is behaving. Nagy is look, they were in the playoffs a year ago. So sometimes I think that people take shots at him, and whether they're deserved or not. They've been in the playoffs 2 out of the 4 years he's been there.
Yeah.
Right? That is not an organization that is prerequisite. That you walk out of bed and you get out of bed and you make the playoffs. It's not the case with the Bears. So he's done a decent job, but he's blowing this, boy. He's absolutely blowing this situation. It's crazy what he's doing with this Field situation. And I will say this, Justin, it was rough last week for Justin Fields. I think he'll play a lot better this week with a full week to prepare. I think he'll play a lot better. I think he'll be a lot more sound. He's going to be dangerous, obviously, with his feet. Had the game-clinching third down where it was 3rd and 9, and he picked up 12 and kind of sealed the deal for the win. I would imagine that we would play a lot of zone and say, we dare you, kid. We're going to keep our eyes on you, and we dare you to stick it into these little windows. I imagine that's what you do.
I think we will too, but I think I think the evolution of the defense that I want to see is us challenging quarterbacks.
Agreed.
And maybe this is not the week for it. Maybe Kirk Cousins is the guy that we go and we challenge a little bit, although Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson are a little bit different than, Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney. Robinson, who I think is a stud, but they haven't thrown the ball down the field. Andy Dalton, out of his 49 pass attempts, has thrown one ball more than 15 yards in the air this year. That's the lowest rate in the entire National Football League. So let's challenge. They'll take the dinks and the dunks. I want to see. I feel like this is a game where we can confuse. The blitz that we had, getting into the film room with the Hoff and breaking that one down, which will be on Browns Live this week. To see the way that we designed that blitz, that was a great blitz. I want to see that kind of aggression. Let's go after some people. I think we've been, rightfully so, we understood that we were the better team against Houston. I think we coached conservatively in that game all around, and intelligently so.
Yeah.
It was a different approach to coaching offensive and defensive football than I thought we even saw against the Kansas City Chiefs, because we knew we were better. I mean, Stefanski didn't go for it on fourth downs. He was happy to take the points. He was, just happy to take extra points as opposed to pushing it for 2-pointers. This week, it probably lends itself to similar, as you're saying. I do think that as the season goes on, for example, Arizona. We can't be soft on Arizona.
No.
Kyler's just too good.
Well, and their weapons.
Their weapons are great.
I believe we talked about Rondale Moore in the
did.
draft. I believe we had that. Yeah. And you put him there along with everything else they have. It's just, it's a big problem. So, there will be an evolution of this defense. And I think there's a great opportunity here. You would think that this would be a Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah return to the form game.
Yep.
I think you can't help but want to see more of Grant Delpit after what you saw in week one. And a lot of these guys were drafted, not necessarily with Justin Fields in mind, obviously, but with Lamar Jackson in mind, with Patrick Mahomes in mind. I mean, that's the idea. So that's going to be a fun one. And it's if it is Fields, it'll be cool for him to make his first start in Ohio. His first NFL start in Ohio will be cool.
There's going to be a lot of buzz for this game, especially if Fields is starting. I know a lot of people coming in from Chicago for this game. The Hoff's going to be in the house.
The Hoff in the house.
Luminaries.
Few people can. The Hoff in the house.
Bold in the house?
Bold.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know if the world's ready.
I have a guy that the Bold should meet.
Oh, do you? What are we going to do?
Does he work with
legend
pigs?
Himself might be here on Sunday.
No swine. No swine talk, Gibby. We can't have that. No, none of that. The legend himself.
I believe Mr. Brown might be coming in.
Jeez. He's not ready for that. I don't know if he's ready to be introduced to society.
Wow.
Yeah. That can't get more big L than that. It's the biggest
of
L's.
It is.
All right. Going to be fun. Going to be a fun week.
Great.
It's going to be a lot of good times. We will hear from Grant Delpit. You'll hear from Kareem Hunt. Sir Andrew will join us at 1:30 to recap what he saw and start to look ahead. The Miz will join the program at 2 o'clock hour, a little better or worse as well. We're off and running on a Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into CBD. Beau Bishop here for my friends at Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's presents the other rules of football. Rule 1, serving cooked-to-order chicken finger meals always earns you extra points. Number 2, no penalty for excessive cane sauce dipping. Raising Cane's ready to tackle all your chicken finger game day needs. When it comes to winning game day, Cane's rules, one love, and a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks. Big line at the one right here on Begley as I pulled in, as people were crushing it at lunch as they ought to do.
Why wouldn't they?
And why wouldn't you? Yeah. We mentioned Grant Delpit. It was awesome to see him back. He has been through a lot. He was asked yesterday about going through the second issue with the hamstring while rehabbing the Achilles. Here's what Grant had to say.
Yeah, it was definitely aggravating, the hamstring in itself. The Achilles is what it was. I know it was a long process. But the hamstring just on the same leg, it was definitely aggravating. But, the training staff got me right. They held me out week 1 when I definitely wanted to play, but, they wanted to just make sure that I was completely fine. It turned out to be the best decision that we could do. So
you're up. This was most felt on his ability to go from 0 to 60 in about a second and a half. We saw the one where he filled at the end of the first half on the run play and then on the sack. Here's Delpit on the sack.
Oh, yeah, it was a great call by Coach Woods. Just came clean off the edge and opened wide up. No, I should have got the ball out myself. I didn't really know the ball. I didn't know the ball popped up, to be honest with you. But I just tried to really, get a good clean hit on him. It was a good play for our defense.
You're up. That was a heck of a debut.
Yes.
It was a heck of a debut.
It was akin to the way we all felt about JOK after Jacksonville, when you were like, okay, this guy is just flying around on the field. Now, the difference is this was against starters and amongst starters.
Yep. Well, to be fair, it was for JOK, too. Jacksonville was playing all their stars.
They were early in that game.
It's just one's a real football team and the other one's not. And I never thought I'd say that about Houston and Jacksonville and the difference being as big as it is, but it is. I digress. Go ahead.
Yes. And I just thought his closing speed. You go back and watch the tape of the last play of the first half, that last running play, where he comes from like 18 yards and he's at the line of scrimmage right away. Yes, a little bit of a guesswork, but he guessed correctly, and he flew in there. The sack, his close, once it was clear he had a lane, the closed, perfect form tackle. Perfect.
Yeah. Because
that's a dangerous one where you could just somehow end up getting 15 for no reason. Perfect form tackle, dislodges the football. I thought he had an excellent debut. There are things, again, with his eyes and understanding what's coming, and I think that will come. But Grant Delpit, in my mind, has the chance to be for this defense what a guy like a Jamal Adams brings. A plus blitzer, a hard hitter, flies all over the field. And I think he has a chance to be pretty darn good in coverage too. But I think that's what he can bring. And I think as John Johnson, and John, is probably looking for some stability next to him. Think about it. Week 1, he's planning to play with Ronnie the whole game. Ronnie's out. MJ Stewart ends up playing the whole game. Week 2, you get some Ronnie, you get some Grant. MJ doesn't play at all this week. I think that, once we kind of get that stability and these guys get to roll together for a few weeks, I think it's going to get much tighter on that back end. But we have explosive playmakers, and the guy that is, in terms of just explosiveness, that's what Grant is. I mean, we've added another explosive athlete, and it's that great clay that we've got, and I think Grant's well ahead of where JOK is because he's had a whole year to get mental reps and to learn the scheme and to know all he could be focusing on is, well, what should I be thinking about here? What should I be seeing here? Because I can't do it. So mentally, though, he should be very ready to go.
Yep, he should, and it was impressive. It's certainly to watch him be and I like the Adams comparison as well. Another LSU guy in there, and they have a history of that of guys who just see ball and go find it. Honey Badger, another one from LSU who did that at a very high level and continues to do it at a very high level. Kareem Hunt, who we just love to have, and Demetric Felton and the play that he made in a big spot. Here's Kareem on that.
Oh yeah, Demetric, he's a heck of a player, man. The guy. I used to play a game like growing up called like Kill the Man. There was one person who got the ball and he had to make everybody miss. That's Demetric. He gonna try to make everybody miss. So I just love the way he, runs, and hey, his first TD. Congrats to him. He's a heck of a playmaker.
He certainly is a heck of a playmaker.
He led the Pac-12 in missed tackles forced per game.
Yeah.
So elusive is just in his DNA. And you saw it twice, not only on the touchdown, but on that one where it got dumped out to him on the orbit motion. And he put poor Kirko. Kirko's on the sideline, had the boundary as his friend, knew he probably really could only go back inside, and yet he still hurt his ankles a little bit right there.
It's an incredible find to find in back-to-back drafts Donovan Peoples-Jones and Demetric Felton in the 6th round, folks. These are and this is a tough roster to make. This was even more so than Donovan Peoples-Jones the year before. This was a very difficult roster to make. Demetric Felton was no guarantee to make this roster as a 6th-round pick. We said there's 4 or 5 spots. He made it abundantly clear very early in camp that he was going to not only be on this team, but it was going to play a significant role in this team, and that's what he's doing, and he is completely trusted. Speaking of Kareem Hunt, and I alluded to this earlier, but I like hearing Kareem say it. Here's Kareem on Baker.
Honestly, I was nervous. I told him, let me tackle him next time.
Just let me. We got you.
I feel like if Kareem if he would have wanted to play linebacker in the NFL, he probably could have.
He runs with a violence that is stunning to watch. And live, it is the passion with which he runs is simply incredible. And he was a couple shoestrings away from breaking 2 big runs against the Texans. A couple big ones. I love Kareem.
Yeah. Yep. It's something else to have him and Nick Chubb both in the same backfield. Will only help us as the season goes along. The Cleveland Browns and Taco Bell are helping Cleveland kids today. Kareem Hunt and Chomps will lead a Play 60 session at the Cleveland Boys and Girls Club, and Taco Bell will announce an exciting new initiative to support the Cleveland Boys and Girls Club. Find out more at bgnneo.org. Sir Andrew joining us next with his thoughts, our senior staff writer, Andrew Gribble. That's coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Imagine kicking back in the evenings in your very own hot tub. You know what? I love a hot tub in the fall.
I love it in the fall.
Crispy fall day.
What about in the winter?
Evening?
When it's snowing out
Get
and
a
you hop
TV,
right in the
you can
hot
watch
tub.
some foosball.
It's great. I got a buddy, Jacuzzi Ricky. He's literally, that's what he does Sunday mornings. He hops in the jacuzzi and watches some football.
It's a good time to be alive. I won't lie. And get your hot tubs from Northeast Factory Direct because they buy them by the truckload. Get a 6-person hot tub with the lounger and the lights. You can still afford all of your fall and winter activities. Think owning a hot tub would be a pain? Not at Northeast Factory Direct. Their hot tubs come with this exclusive hardtop cover. You don't have to worry about safety or convenience. They are as good as it gets when it comes to the cover. I assure you of that. You're going to get a lifetime warranty on that cover. And if you're looking for a way to stay active, they have these swim spas. It's like a hot tub. Just adjusts the jets, gentle current, and you can use them year-round. You can see for yourself at West 140th Street in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard and Euclid or Freeway Drive in Macedonia, or shop them online anytime at northeastfactorydirect.com. And with that, we head on the hotline for a visit with our good buddy, Sir Andrew Gribble. 1-1, buddy. And the news today, of course, in regard to Jarvis now on the IR. Let's start there, I suppose. I mean, your heart breaks for him because we know what he means to the team, Gribbs. But also going on our IR, we were hopeful that wouldn't be the case, but it is now official.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get Jarvis Landry off the field, and it took a total fluke thing last year to have him miss his first game. And now we clearly know he's dealing with something significant here. And the hope is you miss the minimum, which is 3 games. You get him back by week 6, but you got to plan as if you might be missing him even more. But the good news is he's going to be able to work back from this, and hopefully you get him back on the field soon. And at the same time, you either plan, 1, if you could potentially get Odell Beckham Jr. back this week, you do that. But 2, you've got some other guys that you can throw out there. And I think that this is a big opportunity for the 2 young guys, Donovan Peoples-Jones and Anthony Schwartz. And then we saw Rashard Higgins really see his playing time increase with Jarvis Landry out. This is where Rashard Higgins of the past few years has thrived when a player goes down and he steps into a starting role. So of those 3 guys, I would have the highest expectations for Rashard Higgins because we've seen him do it before. But you clearly need more out of the 2 young guys than what you got on Sunday against the Texans because the Browns really relied heavily on their tight ends and running backs in the passing game, and you want to get those wide receivers a little bit more involved.
Yeah, and part of that was just the fact that the Texans sit in a cover 2 shell all game long, and that kind of dictates where the ball had to go, and the Browns were so efficient. What did you make of the fact that it was in defensive end, and now there are 10 defensive linemen on the Browns 53 as we currently sit? And I think, look, it makes sense that Odell could be back, and then Felton obviously can play receiver. So I didn't even expect it necessarily to be a receiver, but 10 defensive linemen now on the 53 Grips. Yeah,
to me, it might be a sign that Ifedi Odenigbo is ready to roll. I mean, this is a guy that was a key contributing player for the Vikings last season. I mean, this isn't your typical practice squad player. This is someone who's been there, done that in the NFL. And part of me wonders if after just a couple weeks, he feels comfortable and ready to roll in this defense and can have kind of a complementary role as a pass rusher. But I think after 2 weeks, I think the expectations are going to continue to grow for this Browns defensive line on where you're getting a consistent pass rush from. We saw it this past week where Myles Garrett was getting doubled a lot, and one of those guys doubling him was one of the best left tackles in the NFL, and Laramie Tunsil. And that's something you're going to have to expect week in and week out. So it's finding guys who can continue to bring even more pressure on the quarterback because number 95 is going to get doubled almost every single play from here on out. So it's finding new ways to get to the quarterback. And obviously with the way the Browns are rotating their defensive linemen, these guys who come in as rotational guys, they're going to be on the field in key moments. And you need your best guys out there. And clearly this is a player who has some experience doing just that.
Yeah, absolutely so. And I think if you're, that was probably the one thing, concern's too strong of a word, but I'm a little surprised that we weren't able to get more of a push up front, Gribbs, in the game against Houston. And it was a perfect day to be able to do it. It just didn't happen. I understand certainly when Tyrod was in there, you want to try to contain him a little bit. But once the rookie came in, just an inability to get to the quarterback in a way that we thought. Are you surprised by that? I know we had good rush numbers week 1 against Kansas City. It didn't feel like it on Sunday, though.
Yeah, I think it took a step back from week one, and I think that's just kind of a fair assessment of where it is. And I think, obviously, with Tyrod out there, you're going to miss some sacks, and I think they did. I think he spun out of a couple of them. Most notably, I think he spun out of the one where he hurt his hamstring on that play near the end of the first half.
Yep.
So it's one of those where you got home, but you couldn't bring the guy down, and sometimes he made some big plays in those moments. But, yeah, you wanted to see more on the rookie quarterback back there. And again, clearly Tunsil's a great left tackle, and they've got some good players on that offensive line, but you want to see more. And I think that if you face a rookie this week in Justin Fields, that's the quickest way to make his game miserable, is bringing consistent pressure. I don't care how mobile of a quarterback he is. You bring enough pressure, they're going to start making mistakes. I've seen it happen at First Energy Stadium before. I remember the Browns faced Marcus Mariota in his second career start and made his game absolutely miserable with about 6 sacks. I mean, this is an opportunity to get better. The Browns have the players to do it. I think now it's just a matter of seeing it happen on the field.
When you take a look back at this defense just kind of as a whole right now, and I think that, as I said, if this were December, okay, I think you could be concerned. It's September. We need to gel our offense, which had gelled last year. You see that smoothness coming over, but it's a new defense, Gribbs.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a new defense that all of a sudden by week 2 you're without one of your biggest leaders out there in Anthony Walker as well. And I think that Malcolm Smith was maybe the MVP of the defense this past week on Sunday. But that's just, again, that's going to be a hit to the cohesion that you really just haven't been able to get. And look, this is the NFL. This is football. You're never going to have everyone out there. It seems like, you're going to have some moving pieces in and out, but I think there definitely is going to be a comfort level and growing period with this defense moving forward. I think that I expect, we're talking a lot about the pass rush and things like that. I expect the secondary to be a lot better moving forward. I don't think that's going to be something we see on a regular occurrence. The passes that unit gave up this past week. I expect they'll be better. They've got the talent. They certainly have showed it. And I liked what I saw with that 3 safety look when they're able to do it. And I'd expect more of that. Clearly, Grant Delpit brings a different element out there on the defense as well. And I do think the more they play, the more comfortable they're going to get. It's just it's a small 2-game sample size, and one of those games was against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm not getting too bent out of shape yet about the defense, but you just want to see some things between week 2 and week 3 to grow on, because as we expect, the offenses that they face are going to be a little bit better than Houston and Chicago these next few weeks.
Gribbs, I have to imagine, you mentioned Delpit there in his first action. He probably had to have the press box buzzing because he jumps off the field. I mean, that speed, that closing speed was so apparent in his NFL debut.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those where up in the press box, you saw it coming 2 seconds before it happened. I mean, he was just kind of like a cruise missile coming in from the side, and you could tell that Davis Mills did not see him whatsoever. You don't see too many of those kind of hits in the NFL, and honestly, I was most impressed that he was able to do that in a clean fashion and not draw any kind of penalty, because those are sometimes some opportunities where guys go too high or they just make the mistake of trying to deliver too much of a hit. I mean, that was exactly what you wanted to see. And with Delpit, I mean, he's such a versatile all-around safety, but I thought this past game, you really saw kind of his physicality and the closing speed that he has. And it'll be interesting to see what we can see more of him over the next few weeks, because he is also someone that can play that kind of center field role in your defense. But you've got John Johnson doing that. So this is a great compliment to have on the defense, and to have all 3 of those guys finally healthy. I know it seems like we waited forever to get all 3 of those guys on the field, but it looked good. And I think the more that they're able to do that, I think the better shape the defense will be in, because, like I said earlier, Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward, those guys are going to have better days than they had on Sunday. And to get all those guys on the same page, I think could make for a really good back end to this defense.
Gribbs, I want to ask you about JOK. Obviously, rough with week 1, and it is for a lot of people going against Travis Kelce. But you do get the feeling that more will be coming his way in terms of playing with the ones on the defense. And I think about this matchup, if it is Justin Fields, it's hard to imagine it's going to be anybody other than Justin Fields in the game. It would seem that he's tailor-made to be someone who could shadow him, someone who could chase him down. Would seem like there is the potential for him to burst out this weekend.
Yeah, and you got to remember, again, he is a rookie, so I think they're just working him in as much as they can. I mean, I think especially no linebacker other than Malcolm Smith played 40% of the snaps this past week. So I think he was pretty much on par with the rest of the linebackers in the group. And now you lose Taki. potentially for a week or so with that hamstring injury, it's just going to be more opportunities for JOK. And I think the things I've liked that I've seen from him, you see those kind of special traits, those instincts. I mean, you see it on kickoff. The guy just flies down the field like he's shot out of a cannon. And then just there's some moves that he makes. There was a tackle he made on the running back in Houston where he was going one way, changed direction immediately, and then blew up the play. I mean, this is a guy with those kind of instincts and traits that the Browns like to see. I definitely don't think he looks like an NFL linebacker to me. I think that was the one concern coming in. Is he too small? I think he looks just fine and is moving around very fast. And I think that there's definitely some things that the Browns can learn from this past week against Tyrod Taylor with the run he was able to make for that touchdown and kind of keeping him from running too much. I think that they can use that opportunity to maybe use JOK in that spot this week.
I would love to see that. You take advantage of that athleticism, and then when you get in that 3 safety look, Ronnie down there, that's a guy with a lot of speed and athleticism and smarts as well. I think, you mentioned special teams. I thought that A.J. Green also was flying around, and those two guys he and JOK have been great on that side. Want to flip it around to the offensive side of the ball. We have the NFL's leader in completion percentage as our quarterback. We also had a scare in that game. Gribbs, take us through your headspace as you saw this all unfold in real time, and that left arm flopping around when he tried to make that tackle and came to the sideline, the tent, into the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard you guys talking about it yesterday. I went to the exact same spot you did right away when you think about the collarbone, because I think we saw it happen to Josh McCown a couple times out there a few years ago, and that's the thing you worry about. But it seems like we've had something like this with Baker the last few years where it looks scary in the moment, and then he just pops right back out there and he plays through the pain. And I think that's just kind of the toughness he showed. And to not only come back right away, but then not throw an incompletion from that point forward, I mean, that's impressive. And I think it'll be interesting to see if he's limited at all in practice this week. It really does help that it's his non-throwing shoulder. I mean, that just makes a huge difference, but clearly it's going to hurt no matter what shoulder it is. But he's just a super tough guy, and I think to me, he just seems so locked in right now, because I think you look at the numbers, and I know people look at the 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, but that doesn't do any justice to the way he's playing. I think that he's as in control of this offense as we've seen him during his entire career with the Browns. And I think that the completion percentage is a real thing with what he's been able to do, because all of those throws haven't been easy. There's been some small window throws that he's made. The one to Harrison Bryant early comes to mind. I mean, that was as beautiful of a ball as you're going to see the quarterback throw. And I just think he's off to a really good start. Even if some of those numbers don't necessarily reflect it, I think the Browns are in a good spot with Baker in year 4 right now.
Yeah, we would certainly agree. We agree we always win when you're on. Appreciate your time, Gribbs.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's our good buddy, Sir Andrew Gribble, joining us on the hotline. Greg Newsome will join us coming up next.
Wow.
There you go. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Getting to Cleveland Browns Daily here from Greg Newsome here in a second, and doing a little bit of good right here as this is a pretty cool dedication ceremony. Shaw Stadium being dedicated today out at Shaw High School, part of a long-term commitment to education, youth, and high school football. And this will be the dedication at East Cleveland City Schools Shaw Stadium. It marks the completion of the 10th high-quality synthetic turf field installed in Ohio in the past 5 years, courtesy of the Haslam and Johnson families, and the Browns give back. So it's about as cool as it gets.
Yeah, it's awesome. And all the new fields that they've constructed through this program, they're lined for multiple sports in addition to football, serve as a resource to further engage students throughout their respective districts. And given the stability of the surface, less maintenance is needed compared to natural grass. The fields are now more readily available to youth and community groups as well as their respective districts. Specific to Shaw Stadium, the Police Athletic League's East Cleveland Chiefs will be among the organizations who will once again have increased access to the facility for its programming due to the renovation.
And with that, we're joined by one of the men who is out there. And a friend of the program now. Greg's on now twice.
A legitimate friend of the
twice in
program.
a week for Mr. Newsome on the program. Greg, thank you so much for taking the time, bud. This is pretty cool, right? Getting out here, getting this stadium at Shaw High School. What was it like for you this afternoon being a part of it?
Man, this is amazing. Just seeing these guys, I could tell they were, super stoked to see this, new facility here. So it's been amazing.
Greg, when you go to your, first home game for the Browns, and I know that you are a man with some great fashion, and you lay everything out and you think to yourself, what do I want to wear? How do I want to make an impression that is both fashionable but also gives a little bit of that gets us vibe? I think you wear a Bernie Kosar jersey,
that's right,
a very stylish hat, and you make a very suave entrance, and that's exactly what you did. And I want you to know, Bernie Kosar noticed it. He texted Beau and I right before you came on wanted us to thank you on his behalf for rocking the Bernie jersey. So what led to that outfit decision for you for the home opener?
Man, first home game, I wanted to throw it back. So it's either that I was going to wear the Jim Brown or the Bernie. And I haven't really been seen in the Bernie. So I was like, let me go ahead, put on the Bernie jersey. And I just wanted to, just have a Cleveland fit. I could have just threw something on, but I wanted to kind of first home game have a little Cleveland vibe. So yeah, I went with the Bernie jersey. It was a pretty good fit.
Yeah,
great success.
It certainly was.
Yes, well played.
What did you make of your first Cleveland Browns home game experience? What did you make of these fans?
Man, unbelievable. It was definitely better than I even expected. I love the fans. They were loud out there, which is great. But it was amazing. I can't wait to get back there again on Sunday.
So the defense was announced for this game, which was pretty cool.
That's cool.
So, Greg, you got to have that announcement run out. What were you kind of thinking right before that moment and just as you kind of ran out there and soaked it all in and heard the crowd go bananas?
Man, I was like, wow, a dream come true. I mean, that moment right there, if that was my last football game, that would have been a dream come true for me. Just doing that, being around these fans, seeing how excited they were, it was just unbelievable, man. And I can't thank the fans enough, for the support they've had for us this whole entire season so far. So I know we can't all wait to get back out there Sunday and play for them again.
So as they kind of went through the defensive announcements, Beau, and Greg knows this, it was almost kind of like it was each person, it just got louder and louder, and you get through the DBs, and then you get to the defensive line, and Clowney, it went nuts. But Greg, when Miles came out, was that not bonkers?
Oh my goodness!
It was insane.
That was ridiculous.
The ground was I mean, it was one of the loudest things I've ever heard at First Energy Stadium in 9 seasons, by far.
Well, he did Shawn Michaels too, didn't he?
Oh, he did a little Heartbreak Kid. He sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got down there at the double buys on the little side ledge.
Yep. Yeah, that was sweet. That was sweet. And Greg, it's sweet to come out with a win, and we did that. And we know that there are things, we've heard from a lot of the guys, heard from the coaches in terms of things you got to improve upon. But this is the National Football League, and wins matter most. What did you like about what you guys did defensively? What did you like about what you did as a team in Week 2?
Yeah, I think, just overcoming adversity. That first half, we didn't come out as like we wanted. We were making a lot of mistakes. But at the end of the day, that second half, we found a way to win. We found a way to get the ball back. We still need to get better in that regard. But, I think our resilience in that game was amazing. And like I said, that was only our second time playing together. And now, one of our guys, and Anthony Walker, was out, so we had to replace him with somebody else. So, we're still all just trying to get to know each other and just really get to trust each other fully. And then I think, when we get to that point, then you will be unstoppable.
Greg, you almost had your first interception there. They tried to test you down the field.
Man.
Nobody's really gone vertical on you so far. Brandon Cook said, okay, we'll try it. You almost had it. What happened on that play?
Man, I should have picked that off. No, but we were in cover 3, man. And I know I had got beat on that play earlier. I didn't get my head around. And I kind of seen the similar formation, the similar play, unraveling. And, when the ball is in the air, I definitely was trying to go get that one. Brandon Cook did a great job becoming the DB in that scenario. But it was unbelievable. It was a nice third down stop, and the crowd was crazy. So it was definitely an unbelievable play.
Very decent chance on Sunday. Nothing official yet, but that you'll see. Obviously, we know we're going to see the Bears, and you could see Justin Fields in that game, the former Ohio State quarterback. And, of course, you were on the field with him in the Big Ten championship game, and, of course, you went out of that game pretty early. Perhaps a welcome to Cleveland moment or a welcome back to Ohio moment for the Bears rookie on Sunday could be in the offering, my friend.
For sure.
Yeah, going to be fun. That's a fun one for everybody. I want to ask you, you mentioned the dream come true on hearing your name announced. You see the impact, even rightly after you were drafted. I saw you at events this summer in the Jim Brown jersey. I see the way kids react to you. Has it hit home for you what you now have become? Because my guess is you used to be those kids, and now you're the one they're looking up to. Does that resonate?
Man, it's resonating every single day, just coming around, seeing some of the kids, how they react to me and things like that. It's been amazing. That's why I try to get out in the community as much as I can and show my face and just know and show them that I'm somebody, that they can access, they have access to, and I'm not just somebody, who's in NFL now and no one can reach. I just want them to know that, I was one of them one day, and, they can be that one day as well.
Greg, you mentioned on that play with Cooks where you almost got that pick that you were in cover 3. You guys played a lot of cover 3 and a lot of quarters here through the first 2 weeks. And in camp, you guys played a lot of man. Are you itching to get a little bit more man coverage out there?
Whatever. Coach has been doing a good job, I think, because he sees certain formations, he sees certain personnel and he knows how teams like to try to attack us. So I think he's been doing, a great job with switching up the coverages a little bit. Whatever he calls, I'll be ready to play. He calls more man, I'll definitely be happy to play it too. So I just definitely can't wait to get back out there Sunday, though, for sure.
And this is why you're drafted in the first round. Scheme agnostic,
That's right.
Smart, tough, accountable, already a veteran at answering questions.
That's right.
Coach is calling the right stuff. Whatever he does, we're good. And this is why a role model, folks. Have your kids grow up like Greg Newsome, out in the community today, already speaking like a seasoned veteran. Good job right there. Good job.
Thank you.
Great talking to you, buddy.
Yes.
Good luck this weekend. Thanks for some time today.
I appreciate it.
All right, that's our first-round draft pick, Greg Newsome, who's playing like a first-round draft pick. Did not take the bait on Justin Fields. Did not take the bait on Joe Woods.
He's playing like a veteran.
Pro's pro.
A veteran.
Very good. The Miz will join us coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys are down. Awesome! I came to play. There's a price to pay. Time for you to get down on your knees and pray. Say goodbye to the good old days. They're never coming back.
Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
You are up.
Oh, that could mean only one thing.
Yes, business is about to pick up.
It certainly is. WWE superstar, entertainment mogul, king of all media, The Miz, Cleveland's finest. How you doing, buddy? Fresh off the stars.
Thank you very much. I am doing fantastic. I traded in my wrestling boots for dancing shoes last night on Dancing with the Stars. I was cha-chaing. I was dancing. I was thriving. And even though there were some moves that I was like, I wish I could have done them better, I've only had 10 days of training. And I'm going up against, like, JoJo Siwa, who's danced her entire life, Sporty Spice, who is literally on the Spice Girls, has been dancing, professionally. So I'm going up against, like, professional dancers and never danced before, and I've never danced before. So with all that being said, I had a blast, had fun, and hopefully I turned some heads, and people were like, whoa, wait, this guy might have what it takes to win this thing.
Listen, Miz, I've met your dad. I know where you're from. Don't give me this. You didn't grow up dancing. You were dancing on the streets of Park. We all know it, man.
They
Come
call
clean.
him George Twinkle Toes
That's
Mizanin.
right.
That's
Come
what I've
clean.
heard.
My dance training comes from MTV's The Grind back in the 80s. I would be in my bedroom with my door closed like Napoleon Dynamite, just dancing my shoes off, trying to do the Running Man. I was never doing the salsa or the paso doble.
That's right. You were not formally trained. Many a spring break saw you put some good moves on the airwaves on MTV, of course. But last night, I got to tell you, it was obviously must-see TV every time you're on. It is. You were pretty darn good. You were much better than I think a lot of people expected. Even Len, who's the toughest of the judges, the one judge that goes, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, which is from him. That's actually very high praise. So what was going through your mind? You have performed in front of millions of people. You have main evented WrestleManias. You're the only two-time Grand Slam champion in WWE history. You've performed in front of sold-out football stadiums over and over and over again. But were you more nervous to step out there on that dance floor kind of out of your element last night?
Well, like you said, it's out of your element. Like, it's out of, so I've only had 10 days of training. And whenever I wrestled in WWE, I was training for years for that moment. Like, how many times in your life have you ever been like, all right, you've never done something before. We're going to train you for 10 days, and then you're going to go on national television in front of millions of people, and you're going to be judged for what what you've done in those 10 days. Like, you're probably not going to do that well. So with all said and done, I was very pleased with the judges' response. I think I shocked a lot of people, and that's the goal. I feel like a lot of times people look at WWE superstars as just yellers and like, we just cut promos. It's like, rah, rah, rah. But we're so much more than that. Like, I honestly think that WWE is like an amazing teacher for all things entertainment. It has basically made me who I am today, and now I just want to showcase it and hopefully open doors for other WWE superstars because there's so many talented people on our roster.
And you're right, but I would go so far as to say none as talented as you, my friend. Movie star, reality TV star,
thank you very much.
Again, and
who else did well?
Who else? What? Who else do I know?
Who else? No, who else did well? Who else did you like? You watched the show. Who else did well?
I think there were a lot of people that did well. You mentioned JoJo, and obviously they're good dancers, but we're there for you. To me, this is the Miz. This is called Dancing with Miz. I think as your competition goes on, that on the guy side, I think Amon Shumpert, I thought as a natural athlete was pretty good.
Yeah,
I think that he's going to be tough down the road from his dancing standpoint. I have not.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But did you listen to the judges' score? I thought his was one of the most creative, fun, and you could tell he was having a good time. And honestly, talking to him he's hilarious. Like, he is so likable and just a nice person. You want to be around him. And that score, though, it was like, I looked at Whitney, I was like, how? Like, how did he not get like 8s? Because I thought he was fantastic.
Because they start off so slow.
You gotta build up.
Getting 6s in week 1 is getting 8s and 9s as it goes on. You know, they can't give out the scores. They've got to leave room to get it as the weeks go along. But I thought it was great. What did Maurice have to say?
Oh, she loved it. She has been practicing with me, and my girls have been practicing with me. Like Monroe and Madison, we've all been practicing nonstop all day, every day. So Monroe and Madison know this dance in and out. Maurice knows the dance in and out. We train, and she honestly was almost in tears at how impressed she was, which means the world to me. For her to sit there in the audience, and anytime she's around, I feel like I'm just a better person.
That's
That's
awesome.
beautiful. You love to hear that.
Yeah.
Are we going to have a dance set to Let It Go anytime in the future? Because I know your two beautiful daughters are full on in the Frozen mode right now. You just had the birthday party for Madison, a beautiful Frozen cake. Every picture on Instagram, they're in their Anna and Elsa dresses. Is that something you're going to try to work in there?
I'm trying, but you have Disney night, and I know that there's 15 other competitors, so I'm not sure who's going to get what. But I mean, my kids love every Disney movie, not just Frozen. I mean, they love The Lion King, they love Aladdin, they love Puppy Dog Pals, Tots, you name it, they love it. Anything on Disney.
Now listen, obviously this is your focus, Miz, but you are a diehard Browns fan. We are 2 games into this season. Have you been able to carve out some time to watch the start of this season?
I'm so impressed with just the command that the Browns have. Like, to go up against Kansas City and take it to the fourth quarter. Now, I honestly did not think that the Baltimore Ravens were going to be able to pull that out. I thought they were going to lose. I thought, everyone was like, oh, Baker should have threw it away. He was trying to throw it away. He got ankle picked, and it ended up going lower than he thought. But coming into this next game against Houston, I think this was a layup. This was a game that I wish was number 1, kind of showcasing, what the Browns are, what they're going to be. They're a run-first offense. The defense, I think, still needs a little work. I thought the defense was just going to be thriving right out the gates. But it seems like the new preseason needs them to get acclimated and ready to go. But, man, I am so impressed. I'm ready for the Super Bowl. I'm ready for the playoffs. I'm already trying to get tickets.
Well, I'm
sure
like
that can be arranged.
I feel like that can be arranged pretty easily. I think that's a lock for you, my brother. Talking with The Miz, of course. Now, Dancing with the Stars, what you did last night, incredibly impressive. We mentioned you have 2 kids. You're also 2-0 in the AFFL in your quest for your first ever George.
Oh my
the fact
gosh.
that you're able to be 2-0 while having kids, while being on Dancing with the Stars. Honestly, right now, I almost feel like you should just get the belt for being 2-0 under those unbelievable circumstances that are so hard. He constantly sends messages to the league. Hey, I have 2 kids. You guys wouldn't understand what that's like.
Right.
How do I have time to focus on fantasy? And yet, 2-0 through 2 weeks, and a lot of talk that this is his year. Then again, the belt currently in California with my partner, Vince Condi, the 3-time champions of the AFL Sooning Snakes.
I had a feeling that was
Look, I don't mean to brag about it, but, the Miz Taraj is the most dominant team in fantasy sports. They are just going to thrive and rocket past every single person. I'm not going to lose this year. The Mega Powers, who I went up against, Mark Monaco and Mark Vitardi, I whooped them last week.
They scored like 100 points
the first week. And you're coming up next, Nathan, and guess what? You're going to get whooped. You're going to get whooped. I'm taking out everybody. I'm taking names. And guess what? I'm going to the playoffs, and I'm going to win the George, and I'm going to shove it right in your face.
Let's hope you don't win the George, because that's a Cleveland Browns daily
You
that
better pray
we don't
to
want.
the high heavens that I don't win, because every day you will receive a voicemail just talking up the smack.
He called everybody in the league after week 1 when he won in week 1, and already is just leaving voicemails of trashing them. He beat on poor Gary, who's out there defending our nation, and just trash talked poor Gary. Unbelievable. I do like your team this year. I think you have a chance, but when you play the Snakes, please don't be distracted by our 3 championship banners, our 12 division titles, our highest winning percentage in the history of the league, our highest points scored in the history of the winning league. So don't let that distract you. Stay focused. Can you guys do that? Can the Miz Taraj do that?
I'm a present and future type of team. I don't look to the past like you. oh, this is what I did. It's not what you did. It's what have you done lately. And I am that's what I've done lately. What have you done lately, Nathan? You barely scored 100 points the first week. Embarrassing.
So you're living in the past. Would it lately be week 2? You're contradicting yourself. What did I do in week 2?
What have you done, Nathan?
I scored 137 points. Second most league. We're 1-1. On the way up. Ooh, you never want to count out the stakes. And guess who's waiting in the wings? Oh, my God. That's Michael Thomas's music. He's only 3 weeks away, Miz. And he's just going to come right back in, put on the snake gear, start slithering into the end zone. And then what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens when someone comes off an injury. They just light the place up. Yeah, Saquon Barkley's doing just that, isn't he?
He's not coming off the same injury.
You don't know fantasy. You don't know sports. I do. The Browns are going to the Super Bowl. The Miz Taraj is winning the fantasy football AFFL, and I'm taking the Mirror Ball trophy. Let's go.
That I agree with. 2 out of 3. 2 truths, 1 lie. The Browns Super Bowl, you winning the Mirror Ball, not winning the George. Let's go.
On that note, folks, listen, if we can put Peyton Hillis on Madden, then we can get Miz in on the to win this thing.
He's winning it because
he's going to let's get behind the man here.
Yes.
So we text Miz to 21523.
Every
get
Monday
the votes
nights.
in. Get him in. If Hillis can be on Madden, Miz wins Dancing with the Stars. We got to make it happen.
Unlike Hillis, you're going to earn this.
I'm Cleveland born and bred. Went to John Glenn Elementary, Hillside Middle School, and Normandy High School in Parma, Ohio.
The Invaders.
I think if Cleveland can band together every Monday during the show, during Dancing with the Stars, 8/7 Central, and just vote Miz to 21523, I'd be incredibly grateful, and we could take someone from Cleveland and bring home a championship to Cleveland once again. Do it together.
I do think, though, that Matt Cardona is making a great case to be your social media campaign chair during this. I think he's really thriving on social. I even saw, I don't want to use the word plagiarism. That sounds like a little too much, but you may have plagiarized one of his tweets.
Oh, there's no doubt. I am stealing all of his – he's a social media genius.
He is.
And I am stealing all of his tweets, all of his Instagrams, and using them as my own. 100%.
That's awesome.
What I am excited about is that one day I think there's
Seems like plagiarism was appropriate.
Yeah, it was. I guess it was. It wasn't even too strong.
Yeah.
You're gonna have the Deathmatch King and the Dancing King, and it's gonna be. I think that's a match made in heaven. There, I'm excited for that collab down the line.
That's right.
Miz, thanks for your time, buddy.
You know who hasn't called me yet, by the way, Nathan?
Who?
My dad. My dad.
No, we've been talking because I gave him tickets to the home opener.
Nathan,
George
Nathan, I got a text from Vince McMahon right after my dance. I still, and this is a day later, have not heard from my father. Have you heard from my dad? Because you talk to him more than I do, because I think he likes you more than me.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have. Here's the exchange that we had.
That's amazing.
And I think you're really going to like it. I just have to scroll down here.
Miz, I can tell you there appears to be a lot of back and forth between Nathan and your dad.
He goes,
looks like a lot of conversation.
He goes, the seats were so great, I owe you. And I said, it's my pleasure. I said, that's what the best sons do for their dads. And he said,
oh, boy.
You are right. You're the best son. And
You're
then
the absolute worst. You're the worst.
Yes, the tears of infinite sadness. It's so sweet. But I'll reach out to him today and let him know that he's got to get in touch with my bro and say, hey, great job
called
dancing.
Him 5 times already. Maybe you can call him for me so he'll actually call me back.
I wish we were like Howard and we could just call him on the air and patch that like right through to the air right now. That would be really something we did. But
very likely he's listening. I'm loyal listener of the program.
I'm gonna reach out to him. We're gonna rectify this. It's wrong. This is not right, and we're gonna take care of it. We're gonna make it right today. So people helping people today, Mike. That's what it's all about. He's stunned. He doesn't even know what to say.
It's a lot to take in.
It is a lot to take in. Have we lost him?
Good luck. Good luck, buddy. Rest of the year.
I'm here. I'm right here. I'm just letting you talk, letting you conversate. Appreciate you guys having me on.
I told us to call Mike. He dominated.
I will talk to you guys later.
Great pleasure. Good luck rest of the year, buddy.
I just have one question for you, though.
Thank you, and go Browns. Go Browns, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. Did Vince's text to you say, God damn it, that's great dancing?
It did not. It said something else, but it was very positive.
Good. Congrats, brother. Keep it rolling. Go Browns.
Thanks,
go Mike. Don't go Miz Taraj.
Later, man.
Later.
The Miz. Let's see. Yeah, we got to get that done. We can get that
We
done.
can get it. Come on.
Text
Are you kidding me?
21523. Let's get a championship.
He's got a gajillion followers on social media.
I think most people on that show do, though. Isn't that kind of the idea?
I don't think that a lot of them are on his level.
I don't know who's on the
media
show
prowess.
other than him, so I'd have to, and Amon Shumpert, but that would be the
Brian
extent.
Austin Green, David Silver from
Tough to
90210
be
fame.
David Silver.
Oh,
Don't you think after the last 6 months
there
for
could
him?
be some loyalty amongst the Mrs. friends, some great 90210 fans in that group.
Well, you know what he's been dealing with the last 6 months.
I do.
Not great.
No.
Yeah, so
This
I'm
will be a
wondering
beacon
if
of light
him
for
trying
him.
to bring a little bit of
Little
shine,
positivity.
little positivity
That's
after
right.
what he's had to watch.
Let's go.
All right, we'll get to some better or worse. Get around the league as well. Some news out of Pittsburgh on Roethlisberger. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Beau here for my friends at Weather Seal Home Services. Do you have a leaky roof, loose shingles, roof discoloration? Don't hold and head into winter without a bad roof, or with a bad roof, rather. You can call them, and they'll take care of you. Get a beautiful new roof before the season ends. Plus, choose between free gutters or gutter guard. Also, get up to 7 years, 0 interest with that approved credit. Trust in Weather Seal, guys. They'll do the job right. They will take care of you with the best price and the lowest monthly payments. It's as simple as that. Call 877-351-SEAL or go to weathersealhomeservices.com. We got a little better or worse coming up here momentarily, but some news around the NFL here before we get into that. Ben Roethlisberger dealing with a pec injury, so says the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was really dreadful in the game. He doesn't have it, and it's pretty remarkable. It doesn't seem like something that will get better as he continues to play. If anything, it seems like this is something that's getting progressively worse and worse, and you have a lot of respect for everything that he's done in the league. You respect that franchise for all the wins that they have, but they want to be committed to running the ball. They can't really run block, and right now he has trouble, and the stuff he's having trouble on is the underneath stuff. Like, he cannot get the ball to Najee Harris on any sort of check down to save his life with accuracy. And so they're kind of stuck, and they don't really have a backup plan.
No.
Which is wild.
It's kind of a stunning situation that has reared its ugly head here. And if you were to go through and look at, Pro Football Focus grades for quarterbacks, Ben Roethlisberger, above guys who have actually played significant football this year, the only people that Ben Roethlisberger are ahead of that have started 2 games are Zach Wilson, Tua, and Trevor Lawrence, who's thrown, 5-6 picks already?
Right.
So he is not playing at a high level whatsoever for this football team. His ability to throw the ball down the field is not great. He's struggling, and you wonder for a team. This isn't a team that can say, all right, he's banged up a little bit, we're just going to go ahead and lean on the ground game. I felt like in the second half, we kind of protected Baker a little bit. And we said, let's turn this game over to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and this offensive line. And they did that. They can't do that. And it's not because Najee's not good. The line's not good enough.
Line's not good enough.
If you can't get any push, you can't do a lot, down the field and running the football. You can't create those lanes. And so, I don't know. The Ravens showed me enough. And it's interesting. After week 1, I thought that they were in real trouble. But you beat the Chiefs, you've got to pay attention to that. Lamar is a guy who in a week-to-week scenario is so different than what you're typically ready for that he is difficult to defend. And that running game, Tyson, I said that. The running back situation, look, is he as good as Dobbins?
They had Devontae Freeman running the ball. He picked up 20 yards on a run. I was like, what?
It's the scheme is so you can plug
and
anybody
Lamar,
in there.
You got to account for him always. So it's
and Hollywood Brown actually looks good is looking like a real number 1, and they'll get Bateman back. They'll get some players back on offense. I just still think their defense is the concerning part. They're not getting to the quarterback. Their struggle in coverage. The Chiefs had that game, and you blew it, boy.
Well,
they blew it.
That's what I felt when you think about it, and that's why from a Browns fan perspective, you ought to feel pretty good. We turned the ball over 3 times and had an opportunity to beat Kansas City. That was even, wasn't it? Because the Chiefs had the 2 turnovers, and Baltimore had the 2 picks early in the game, and the Chiefs had 2, and it was even, and Baltimore barely won. So you think if you take away, if the turnover margin's equal in our game, we beat Kansas City week 1. We beat them. So that was a big one for the Ravens, though. That was you could feel the weight of it. I mean, they had Ray Lewis on the hype crowd. They had Omar whistling before they were introduced. They had a lot in that game. It was important to them to beat Kansas City. It felt like they needed to do it.
A Ravens fan got the result of the game, the score, tattooed onto his body. That's how big this game was in Baltimore. We're not even talking about Super Bowl. We're talking about week 2, buddy.
Did you see the guy? Did you guys hear about this? The guy yesterday, he bet over the weekend. He bet $25 on every.
Please tell me he hedged this game.
He
right?
did not hedge the game.
Why?
Probably didn't know.
So he didn't know.
All right, so he's
knew
15
about it.
at Gibby. Are you aware of this story? So this guy bets
God.
$25. It's a 25-team NFL parlay or
16
game NFL parlay. He bets $25 on it. He hits the first 15
all money lines.
Games, all on the money lines. Gets to last night. It's Detroit to win.
And he wins
$735,000
if he wins. How do you not take out a loan and you hedge this down and guarantee that you've made $300,000?
Obviously naive.
Who wouldn't bankroll that? Somebody would bankroll that.
Somebody would bankroll that, yeah.
It's a lock. I'll give you there. You get 10%. You got to give me 10%.
Yeah.
Here's a check for $350. We'll put it on the money line right there, and you're good to go. It's a hedge.
Yeah.
How does he not? How's that bet go unhedged?
I don't know.
It can't go unhedged.
Can't. I don't know. It didn't though. Obviously, he didn't know. It's wild. I don't know.
What do you mean what?
I don't know.
Everybody
Didn't
knew
know.
about this, but how did somebody like me or you not figure
Somebody
out?
not get. I didn't know about it
get
until
to 'em.
yesterday or this morning rather. I didn't
no,
know
I
it
knew
till
about
this
it
morning.
yesterday.
I was not aware of it yesterday. So somebody had to get to him yesterday. He should have made $300,000.
Easy. And
Yeah.
by the way, at halftime, he could have you actually got much better odds on the Packers in the second half because at the halftime it was tied, so the odds were even better. He could have really hedged this out in a way where he maybe could have, tried to create a little bit of a middle scenario for himself.
Yeah. Not.
No.
Instead, Bupkis.
Bub Kiss.
I've never heard of anybody getting 15.
15-0. That's
That's
straight up.
pretty-
But 15-0 is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Sure is.
What was the most surprising result from this week? I'm trying to think off my head what he nailed that would have been the Raiders beating the Steelers.
Well, let's see. Like, if you don't do scores, I would say, yeah, Raiders,
Carolina
Steelers, people,
smoking
some
the
people.
Saints.
I had that going that. I had
So
them
did
winning
we.
that.
Who
But,
did Denver beat?
but in terms of that, Denver whipped Jacksonville.
Yeah.
That's not too
Not a surprise.
surprising there. I think the only – no, because Arizona beats Minnesota. Yeah. Maybe Chargers. Did people think that? Or Tennessee. Tennessee was a 6.5-point dog at Seattle. He picked them to win straight and got it. Baltimore, too. There weren't many people picking Baltimore.
No.
So I'd say Baltimore, Tennessee, Carolina.
Yeah.
Maybe the
so there
Chargers.
were definitely some
surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So there you go. All right. We'll do a little higher or lower. Coming up next, you're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. That local presence with the global footprint, trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. This is a testimonial from EOX Vantage client Tom Daugherty. He's the Senior Vice President of Specialty Programs with the NIP Group. He says, quote, I have a saying about working with EOX Vantage. If you dream it, they can build it. We generate lots of ideas for them to carry out. They've implemented everything we've come up with. We brainstorm ways to innovate and improve our company, and we use EOX Vantage for their infrastructure, coding, and programming capabilities, technological expertise, and experience working with those global brands. We are absolutely thrilled with our partnership, and you can be too. You can learn more at EOXVantage.com or call 216-298-1616. Again, that's 216-298-1616. It's a local company, guys. EOX Vantage. Time for a little better or worse. Hello, Gibby.
Hello, gentlemen. Welcome
Hello,
to week
Gibby.
3. Hola.
Oh, Gibby. Higher or lower, brought to you by our great friends at the Ohio Lottery.
Yes.
There's lots of bad advice out there about gambling, from secret methods to picking lottery numbers to betting big when you're on a roll. These myths can lose you money when you get in trouble. So before you wager, find out what's real and what isn't at keepitfunohio.com. Gibby.
Oh.
This week's Power Rankings, compliments of one Mike Florio.
I feel like
at
Florio's a
Pro
little...
Football Talk.
I feel like he's a little harsh this week on
Little.
the Cleveland Browns.
Well,
All right.
last week.
I got to pull his thing up here. I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, last week the Browns were number 7.
Yeah.
This week, number 12.
What?
Steelers
You
homer.
win, and you drop 5.
And he's got the Steelers.
And he says if Tyrod Taylor, or Tyrod Taylor, whatever we're calling him today, doesn't get injured, the Browns could be 0-2.
You can't
But
say
they're
that.
not.
You can't say that. It's hard. That's speculation. Dismissed.
But they're not. They're 1-1.
That's right. They're not. That's his
So
one
in his
comment.
mind, the Cleveland Browns are worse than the Carolina Panthers. They're worse than the Pittsburgh Steelers, worse than the Las Vegas Raiders, worse than the Arizona Cardinals, worse than all those teams, worse than the Baltimore Ravens. He's got the Ravens 3.
Yes. We'll get to that.
Wow. I don't like his ratings.
Obviously higher.
I mean, how come you don't say Baker 19 of 21, Chubb and Hunt, the Browns already 7 rushing touchdowns through 2 games? This team is going to be a handful.
Baker on one arm, 19 of 21.
Here, Gibby.
Just throw that out there. I don't know.
Like if Tyrod Taylor doesn't get injured, the Browns could be 0-2. Then the next sentence should be, if we don't have 3 turnovers against Kansas City, the Browns could be 2-0.
Yeah.
I mean,
if the Browns
what are we doing?
Vince
It's an
Conte would say,
overreaction power
if
poll.
we're a 5th, we'd all be drunk.
God,
The
I could
waffle
use
would be
that
right.
now.
He would be. You like that, Gibby?
I could use it a little bit.
Oh,
Jeez, Gibby. Well, you
Gibby.
always have
I mean,
the
it's-
nectar in there.
Yeah, you got the
it's
apple juice.
boys.
We quoted at the same time. It's great for the stream, for the people. Miss a little, miss
Great
a lot.
moment yesterday on the stream that caught the Joe fall. I saw somebody on social.
Yeah, they sent it to us. But I was sad they didn't have my working on him. Too bad there wasn't a backstage camera where you could see it.
Oh, no, you could see it.
We
if you
will
go back and look,
rebuild him.
you
We will
can
rebuild
see it in
him.
the corner.
You could see me working on him?
Oh, yeah.
What I think it's kind of miraculous that his foot is now reattached.
I want to say when you came out, I said some of the effect to you of that looked like a compound fracture. And you said, well, yeah, he lost his foot.
That's right. He was a footless Hoff. Wasn't like shoeless Joe Jackson. He was footless Joe Thomas.
Footless Hoff.
Yeah.
Can't have that.
No.
All right, let's get down to it. Paulus, hit it.
Higher or lower?
All right, number 1, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, rightfully so. Number 2, the L.A. Rams. Higher, lower, or just right? Zegura, we will start with you.
I feel like this is a bit of an overreaction. I like them, but it's not like they just dispatched of the Colts all so easily.
Kind of a weird game. They had a fumbled punt that Indy scored a touchdown on. It was kind of a weird game.
I'm still taking the Chiefs lining up against just about everybody in the league right now, even though we almost beat them and the Ravens did ultimately beat them. I think the Chiefs are still pretty good. They would still be number 2 for me. So I would say they are worse than that, but I do think right now they are the second best team in the NFC.
Yeah, I think it's a sweet spot. I think it's probably about right based on how they've played the first 2 weeks. I hear what you say on Kansas City. I think I would pick Kansas City to win a Super Bowl over them. But if you're just judging on what you've seen in 2 weeks, they've been really good. I mean, you go to Indy's got talent. The Wentz thing's weird, but I think we forget how talented they still are defensively. They still got a great offensive line. This Rams team is chesty.
Very.
They're real chesty with Ramsey and Donald, and Ramsey especially. Like, he's such a –
He's out of – yeah.
It reminds me very much of Seattle in the Legion of Doom days, like how Richard Sherman and Chancellor – I'm not saying that not from a secondary standpoint, but just how chesty they were. That's how this Rams team plays. I don't know that they're as good as that Seattle team was, but there is a belief. It almost becomes infectious. I could see them having a monster year.
Is Earl Thomas one of the biggest fall-offs ever?
On the field and off.
Just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he fell off a cliff. He went from as the best safety in football to gone, vaporized.
Gone.
Yeah.
Next.
Higher or lower?
Takes us to number 3. Still not the Kansas City Chiefs. They're number 4 in this power poll. The Baltimore Ravens move from number 11 to number 3. After one of the most deflating losses of the Harbaugh-Lamar era, the Ravens get their signature win. Higher, lower, or just right?
Did he watch the game?
How can your signature win be in week 2 of a season?
I wonder
if they've accomplished a lot. I mean, they've won playoff games. Like,
maybe fire trucks were shooting arcs of water to celebrate their big win in Baltimore. I don't know, but again, it's if. Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't fumble, there's a good chance they lose this game as Harrison Butker kicks a field goal to win.
Mahomes throws one of the dumbest interceptions you can ever throw, and probably as dumb as he's ever thrown.
Yes.
Both of those things happen. Look, it's a really good win for Baltimore, but let's not forget what happened to them week 1, and defensively, they've got problems, man. So let me ask you guys this. If you guys were doing something like this, if there was an AP Pro Football poll and you were a voter on that poll, would you vote it on what you saw that week, or would you vote it on who you thought was good? Because it really depends on how you view polling when it comes to
I would be
stuff.
voting it on who I think is good. Based on now we have 2 weeks of a body of work.
I'm looking at the overall body of work.
Right, and I think that's the tricky spot that he's in here, because the overall body of work would have Kansas City over Baltimore.
Yes,
but if you're doing it from what most people who do polls want you to do is they want you to vote on what you just saw. So my experience in this comes in college football, and this happens all the time, right? So you'll have a team beat a team head to head and be ranked behind them, and you're like, how's that possible? They won. How could they possibly? So, in other words, how could you have the Ravens ahead of the Chiefs when they just beat them, or behind them, rather? Do you see? That's the issue.
That's why he's got them ahead of them.
That's why he's got them ahead, because he's saying, look, they just beat them. I can't have them. I can't have Kansas City ahead of Baltimore. Baltimore just beat them.
I think that, you can, and what I have a problem with is let's say that because it's all these ifs.
Right.
The hammer doesn't drop that punt. We beat the Chiefs.
That's why I said.
Are we number 2?
That's why I said what we said about us.
But
so
that's his. But
his thing
you should be able to watch a poll and ascertain what the real truth is here. Watching the games, it's a couple of the real truth.
That's right.
This is 2 fumbles in 2 different directions that would vastly change this poll, because I believe if Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't fumble, the Ravens go 0-2. Who knows where he has the Ravens? But you still watch the game and you know that, hey, actually they showed something pretty good against the defending 2-time AFC champions. And for us, we weren't as good as we were in week 1 this week, but we still won by double digits in the National Football League. But in week 1, we took it to the Chiefs in a way that the Ravens didn't even take it to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Next.
Higher or lower?
I'm just assuming that we're going to put lower for the Baltimore Ravens, obviously.
Yeah, worse.
The Chiefs at 4, the Bills 5, the undefeated 49ers at 6, takes us to number 7, and the Arizona Cardinals. It's better to be lucky than good. It's even better to be both, he says. Higher, lower, or just right? Bishop, I'm going to go to you first.
Your hands up.
If Greg Joseph makes that field goal, which is a 37-yarder, does this mean the Cardinals are 25th? I mean, I don't understand. You watch the games.
Correct. Look, and I did. I mean, so it's interesting. I don't know that there are a lot of Arizona Cardinal fans other than people like live in Phoenix, and I don't even know if they're the most popular team in that area. There might be, but there's so many expats in that area.
What a great place to live.
It's a great place to live, and so there's a lot of people from all over the country that live there,
Of course.
right? So I don't know how many true Cardinals fans there are, but it's got to be kind of maddening to watch them because it's basically Big 12 football.
It's a video.
That's what it
game.
is. It's Big 12. It's a video game. It's Big 12 football. You're going to score on them anytime you want, and they will just try to outscore you. They have taken Kingsbury's was at Texas Tech. Kyler was at Oklahoma. They've taken that attitude to pro football. They run goofy stuff. They ran that ridiculous play with Rondale Moore. They had first goal inside the 5. They ran that jet sweep with him where he's got to reach, and he fumbles it. And I can't remember if it was upheld or not. I think it was. But it was just like, what are we doing here? Like Kingsbury has several of those every game that you're like, man, this isn't that hard. You're making it harder than it is. That said, they are as dangerous as anybody.
Kyler's incredible.
And he's incredible when he's healthy, but he's a little dude who takes hits. You'd think he would get down better for all the baseball he's played. You'd think he would slide, but he does take a lot of hits. That being said, it's probably sweet spot for them. They're right in there between 10 and 7. I'm not gonna. It's not. It's probably on the high side of where I'd have them.
Would you put the Seattle Seahawks ahead of them if you were doing your own power rankings?
I think that those two teams are very,
Pretty
very
similar.
I think Seattle's ceiling is better and they're more stable. But I'm telling you, I don't know how much of that game you guys got to see them against Tennessee.
It was crazy. I saw it.
Yeah, their inability. They had 2 3-and-outs in the last quarter. If they get a first down on either one, they win. Russ took some terrible sacks in that game, and the defense was just worn out because Henry carried it 38 times for 175 or whatever. But they were just out of gas. The defense was, and the offense. They played no complimentary football.
They have an ability to, on themselves, flip the switch off. They can
Seattle?
just be rolling,
Yeah.
and then it's like 10 yards may as well be 100. It's nuts, and it's been this way for a couple of years.
They made
Which
the
with
coaching
Russ,
change.
it should never happen.
They are in more 3rd and 12, and they should never be in that ever. And he holds onto the ball. Man, he held onto the ball long.
I just think this power poll is so.
Where the heck does he have the Seahawks? I don't even see him.
19.
Keep going.
Oh, jeez. Come
19.
on, that's not right.
They're so outcome biased. This poll is nuts.
If he picks up a first down, they beat Tennessee and they're 2-0 and they're maybe ranked 6th.
But by the same point though, if Greg Joseph makes that field goal, there's no way the Vikings are at 25,
Yeah,
and
this
there's
is
no way
nuts.
that the Cardinals are at 7.
Seattle
it's like
is
he's
better than
ignoring
Denver. They're better
games.
than Denver, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the
Denver
Saints,
is tough.
the
Denver
Patriots.
should be up this list a little bit.
Yeah,
we should be up
better
this
than
list.
the Panthers. They're better than the Steelers. The Steelers 9. Come on, come on.
So, Zegura, your answer?
Worse.
I'd like to do this over.
I'd like to redo this. I think this power poll.
Come on, Florio.
I think, frankly, it stinks.
Let's go. Get it together.
Next.
Higher or lower?
Raiders are 8th. The Pukers are 9th. Can we all agree the Pukers should be much lower?
They have real problems.
Next.
TJ Watt getting hurt now. So you got Watt hurt. Roethlisberger's not accurate. Can't throw it. Claypool's bailed him out a couple of times. They draft Najee Harris and they can't run it. And that dude is doing everything else. I mean, he's open all the time on checkdowns. He pass blocks like a machine, but they can't run it because they can't block it.
If they had Charlie Fry at quarterback, Najee Harris might be leading the league in receptions and receiving yards.
No kidding. If they had like Bridgewater,
oh yeah,
he would be leading the league.
Next.
Higher or lower?
Let's go.
Carolina Panthers are number 10 at 2-0. They are 2-0, kids. Higher, lower, or just right?
So it's
Bishop.
Jets and it's New Orleans.
Yeah.
And you kind of saw the New Orleans thing coming off of the high from the week before. They're good, really good defensively. And
I like them. I like their offense.
Yeah, they're really good defensively. Darnold's numbers are a little inflated versus the reality, but they've got nice weapons. McCaffrey looks to be back and ready to go. They got a lot. Yeah, they're nice. It's a team you're not going to want to play. They're not the 10th best team in football.
No, but they're
it's
scary.
Yeah,
McCaffrey's great. Your receiving core of DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Terrace Marshall is very good and exciting in different sizes, speeds, flavors. I think they're a good team, and the post-Gase bump of Tannehill and Darnold. If Darnold has a real good season, let's say he throws for 4,000 yards, 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, and looks like, okay, yeah, no, we actually can do this with this guy. That is an incredible indictment of Gase.
It isn't Darnold like 23?
He's still so young.
He's really young. Like he's a couple years younger than Baker, I think.
It'd be unprecedented.
Yeah, though. Without precedent.
All right, final question for you today on Higher or Lower, presented by our great friends.
Higher or lower?
Oh, presented by our friends at the Ohio Lottery. Who's the best 0-2 team in the NFL? According to Florio, it's the Vikings. They're ranked 24th. Your other 0-2 options, the Giants 26, the Colts 27, Lions 29, Falcons 30, Jets 31, Jaguars 32.
Well, I think the Jets are the worst. No, the Jaguars are the worst. He has that right.
Yeah,
Jaguars,
he's got the bottom
Jets,
three right.
And the Falcons.
And the gutless Falcons. And then I think the Lions are better off than the Giants. I mean, I
think the Giants
they
suck.
put together two decent.
I think the Giants are going to whoop the Falcons this week.
They should.
I think the Colts are the best 0-2.
The Vikings are still talented. You watch it. I mean, they can still play offense.
Right, but I think the Cardinals' defense is pretty bad.
It is. But Cousins, Cook, Jefferson, Thielen is a pretty nice quartet.
Yeah, I think the Colts, if you're Colts, you're saying to yourself, now we understand. If you're them, like you hope Wentz stays out, so you don't have to give up a number one to Philly.
Who's playing
That's where you're
quarterback
at
for them
point.
if he's out?
Well, it was Eason last week, and he promptly threw a pick right to Jalen Ramsey. Airmailed it. Ramsey could have fair caught it.
Why?
Not great. Good job out of you, Gibby. Still
right,
so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Injuries during childbirth require experienced counsel. Call the lawyers at Elk & Elk for clear answers to what happened during your child's birth. Elk & Elk, proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio today. The question is, am I going to get enough rain in the next hour and a half to take off football tonight? That's what I'm hoping for.
I think it's possible.
I need it to hold off. I got a kids golf match, 3:30.
Wow,
Sorry, I'm rooting against you.
Well, I'm not till 6. Look, I love it. There's nothing I love more.
90% at 4 o'clock out east where you are.
It's east. It's not west. It's weird.
But
I'm on the best side, so that's the way that goes. It's all coming my way.
Except that it's raining on your side.
That's true.
The sun's always out on the west side.
It'd be amazing.
That's not true at all.
It'd be amazing if Gibby just had sun. Right around
just wherever he is, like a halo.
I'll hit you up live.
Was that Charlie Brown that was followed by the rain?
Yeah,
like it's the opposite for Gibby. Everywhere he goes, it's just sun. A halo of sun all around him. I love it.
That's what happens when you go 4-1 again.
Jeez.
Oh, boy.
We're not prepared.
We're not ready.
No one's ready for it. Nope. Chesty Gibby.
On to the Bears tomorrow. On to the Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
Justin Fields.
The Miz, Greg Newsome today. Nice little Tuesday.
Nice little Tuesday
Gribs,
program.
Dibs, boys.
All that you needed. The next level's coming up next. We're back to Bulls coming up next.